why don't you start by just orienting all of us, laying a foundation, assume we know nothing. What is trauma? Like, give us your best definition of what trauma is.
Yeah, I'm sure there are more out there. One of my favorites is the actual or perceived experience of danger, of threat, right? So most of us, our most common connection to trauma might be a dangerous event, like something that actually threatened your life, right? It's like there was a car accident or there was some kind of threat by person. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's super important. And what I love trying to hone in on is equally as important versus what actually happened is how the person perceived a threat or their level of safety, right? So maybe we were with them during an event and like we knew we were okay. Like we knew, oh, that was happening over there, or like we weren't in the line of threat or whatever.
Right.
But did the person with us or did the person or even ourselves, did they perceive the same thing we did?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's where with trauma, there's a lot of room of like, we can like, let's say we revisited the scene of the crime and it's like, oh no, they were okay. Okay. Something happened over here. They were right here. So they were fine. They were out of the line of threat, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But our bodies don't always know that, right? There's a difference between like me as a bystander and you experiencing it. So I really like to hone in on that perception piece because it leaves a lot of room for, well, I don't know how your body experienced that or how your brain experienced that. Maybe
Right.
I could see a detailed list of what actually happened, but it's different when we check in on their body reacting, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. So that's a definition, a concept that I think just helps kind of get the spectrum of it. Again, there's probably a lot out there, but that's the one that I use the most as far as just defining trauma.
What frames that up? So, with the idea that your perception is your reality, what's trauma for you might not be trauma for me. Is that fair to describe it in that way?
Exactly. For instance, I've worked a lot, my background is a lot in the foster care space and the adoption space, right? So working a lot with families. And that's where, multiple children being raised in the same environment might have different impacts. Maybe they perceived different things
Mm,
as more threatening than the other. So not that like one was untouched by trauma and one was highly traumatized, right? Not necessarily that extreme, but maybe one sibling, let's say, experienced that event to be hugely traumatic. Like
right.
maybe it's something that follows them for years. Whereas the other sibling was like, no, that wasn't the thing. This was the thing that really
Mm,
hit me more in that moment. So there's again, a lot of room for, yes, how we all differently experience and perceive
mm-hmm.
events.
Yeah.